The threats faced by the USS Cerritos tend to be low-level, but Star Trek Lower Decks still manages to feel like Star Trek, even if the crew meets those threats with far less dignity than that of more prominent Federation starships. The first Star Trek show of its kind, it still honors what's come before it and of course, manages to throw in plenty of callbacks to existing Trek lore. I'm Greg Elliott with Screen Rant, and let's take a look at every Easter egg and reference in the very first episode of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Worf, are you alright?
Romulan Ale should be illegal.
It is.
Ensign Mariner makes her debut on the show fully loaded on Romulan whiskey. Now, this is the first that we've ever heard of this particular libation, but it's an obvious cousin to the traditional blue-tinted Romulan Ale, which has a long and storied history as an illegal liquor in the Federation. And while Worf may not be a fan of Romulan spirits, he's definitely comfortable with a bat'leth in his hands. Mariner clearly is not, though, as we see her accidentally take out a chunk of Ensign Boimler's leg with one that she found on Douglas Station.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
From the musical cues to the opening credits' bright blue font, the show is an aesthetic follow-up to The Next Generation, while also serving as an actual sequel as it takes place right after Nemesis, the final Next Generation film. They name-drop plenty of TNG characters as well, making the show fit right into the existing Trek universe fans know and love, and also definitely opening up the possibility that some legacy characters could very well make cameos on the show. The Romulans and Borg also cameo right in the opening credits as we see the Cerritos approach a massive battle full of Borg cubes and Romulan warbirds, and then promptly retreat from the fight. We also see an unnamed ensign sporting the same kind of visor that Geordi LaForge wore on Next Generation, and Mariner appears to use a version of the Argo buggy to deliver equipment to some Galardonian farmers, the same type of ATV that Picard and Worf blasted around in on Colress 3 in Nemesis. After he gets her out of trouble, Mariner tells Boimler she's going to be his Chadich, which is a Klingon title for a warrior that defends the honor of a friend by fighting for them. This comes right from the classic Next Generation episode Sins of the Father, where Picard became Worf's Chadich after his brother Kurn was injured.
Did you know about Spock? Dude came back from being dead.
Yeah,
it's a freaking Genesis device and fought Khan and some space
Can we
whales.
just go back to not being friends?
How about Sulu?
At the end of the episode, Mariner drops a ton of Star Trek references all at once, including a mention of the Genesis device from Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan, Spock's resurrection in Star Trek III The Search for Spock, and even the space whales from Star Trek IV The Voyage Home, where the crew time-traveled to 1980 San Francisco to recover a pair of humpback whales that could save the world. Mariner also mentions Sulu being a sword guy, which is a reference to the original series episode The Naked Time, where an inhibition-lowering infection brought out his inner musketeer and he chased people around the ship with a fencing foil, as well as to the new films, where Sulu is a skilled swordsman as well. In addition to mentioning Spock, Khan, Sulu, Kirk, Worf, and Troy, Mariner also name-drops Lieutenant Commander Gary Mitchell, the one-time helmsman and close friend of Kirk's, in the original series episode Where No Man Has Gone Before, where Mitchell was taken over by an alien entity that threatened the crew, forcing Kirk to kill him. And I think that's it for episode 1. We're very sure that the show will continue to pull more from the Star Trek vault, so make sure to keep coming back to Screen Rant for all the show's references and Easter eggs as the series continues. Until then, I'm Greg Elliott, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.